Today we're diving into the twisted tale of Wapol, the former king of Drum Island, whose reign represents the ultimate cautionary story about what happens when a ruler's appetite becomes so insatiable that it devours not just his kingdom's resources, but its very soul. Most tyrants in One Piece get their comeuppance. But Wapol's different, and by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why his ultimate fate might be the most disturbing among all One Piece villains. Let's start with the kingdom itself. Drum Island was once known throughout the Grand Line as a medical powerhouse, home to some of the world's finest doctors and most advanced medical knowledge. Picture a nation where healing was the primary export, where people came from across the seas seeking cures for ailments that plagued them. Then came Wapol. When this man ascended to the throne, he didn't just rule Drum Island, he devoured it. And I'm not speaking metaphorically here. Wapol possessed the Munch fruit, a devil fruit power that allowed him to literally eat anything and either absorb its properties or combine different materials into new creations. But his power was merely the physical manifestation of what he had always been on the inside, a man whose hunger knew no bounds. The first thing Wapol consumed was his kingdom's greatest asset, those world-renowned doctors who had made Drum Island famous. He hoarded them all for himself. Every single one. He created a monopoly on medical care so complete that if you weren't serving the king directly, you were banned from practicing medicine entirely. Imagine living in a country where your child falls ill, where your parent suffers from a treatable disease, where you yourself face a medical emergency. And you're told that healing exists, but it's reserved exclusively for one man and his inner circle. This wasn't just about controlling resources. This was about controlling life and death itself. Wapol transformed healing, the most basic human need after food and shelter, into a luxury item available only to those who served his whims. Citizens of Drum Island began dying from illnesses that could have been easily treated. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Wapol didn't stop at hoarding doctors. He consumed his kingdom's spirit. People stopped dreaming of better lives because dreaming required the belief that change was possible, and Wapol had eaten that possibility. And then everything changed when the Blackbeard pirates arrived at Drum Island. When the Blackbeard pirates showed up on Drum Island's shores, something extraordinary happened. Not extraordinary in a heroic sense, but extraordinary in how perfectly it exposed the hollow foundation of Wapol's entire reign. This man who had spent years consuming everything his kingdom had to offer, who had built his power on fear and control, who had convinced himself that his iron grip made him untouchable, did something that reveals the ultimate truth about tyrants who rule through consumption rather than leadership. He ran. Not just a tactical retreat, not a strategic withdrawal, to regroup and fight another day. Wapol abandoned his kingdom completely. He left behind every citizen who had suffered under his rule, every doctor he had hoarded, every resource he had claimed for himself. The Blackbeard pirates didn't need to conquer Drum Island through some elaborate military campaign. They didn't have to break through layers of defences or overcome fierce resistance from loyal subjects. Wapol's kingdom collapsed the moment he decided his own skin was more valuable than everything he claimed to rule. His entire system of control evaporated because it was built on nothing more substantial than his physical presence and the fear he generated. But here's where Wapol's story takes a turn that makes it even more disturbing than your typical tale of a fallen tyrant. Most stories about rulers who consume their kingdoms end with justice, with the tyrant facing consequences that match their crimes. We expect to see them stripped of power, forgotten by history, or meeting some poetic end that reflects the suffering they caused. Wapol didn't get that ending. In exile, stripped of his kingdom and his subjects, his devil fruit power, the same ability he had used to symbolically and literally devour his kingdom, became the key to an entirely new form of success. He created Wapo metal. Using his Munch fruit, Wapol began combining different materials to create a revolutionary new alloy. At first, the transformation seemed purely economic. Wapol, the despised former king, turned shrewd businessman. But his ambition did not stop at business. The success of Wapo metal and the creation of widely popular toys made him so influential and valuable to the world's elite that he caught the attention of the celestial dragons and the world powers. Therefore, as a reward for his economic success and the stability his enterprise represented, Wapol was granted a new sovereign domain, the evil Black Drum Kingdom in the South Blue. This elevated him back into the realm of kings and lords, but now on his own terms. Suddenly the same man who had consumed his kingdom's medical resources found himself sitting on a gold mine that made his previous wealth look like pocket change and married a real princess called Cinderella. But Wapol's story had one final twist. He accidentally witnessed the murder of King Cobra by Imu and the elders in the throne room during the reverie, and is now on the run from the world government by hiding aboard Big News Morgan's airship. As it stands, Wapol is a wildcard in my opinion. He has insider knowledge, a kingdom recognised on the global stage, and a motive to stay alive. Ultimately, the story of Wapol's rise through Wapo metal and the evil Black Drum Kingdom is a twisted form of redemption. But not for his people, only for himself. But the story also holds a warning. Power regained through opportunism does not change character, and Wapol's new rule may be as unstable, predatory, and self-serving as his first.